Hi, besties! Welcome to the CB Friends
Daily Show
with Arianna
and Eva.
and Eva.
Arianna.
Yeah, wow.
Never gets old.
Never gets old. Well, today is actually our last daily show
No.
of COP, no?
We have one more. See, this happened to me yesterday. This happened to me yesterday. This is our fifth Daily Show.
Fifth. Okay, yes. Fifth daily show. We're tired. COP30 has been tough with us
Indeed.
and with everyone. But we're here, happy to bring you the latest insights. And today is about...
Futures literacy and the futures we imagine.
This is very interesting because everyone wants and imagines a different future. We have different futures here. So we can start with one good CB friend.
Vishnu, and we actually looked at the future of cities because for those of you that don't know, by 2050, almost 70% of the population is expected to be living in urban areas. So the future is urban. But how do we make an urban future resilient? Let's hear from Vishnu. So looking into our urban futures, what do you think are the capacities that are needed to ensure that cities are resilient and sustainable in the years to come?
I think the fundamental problem out there is that we have a lot of information. We just got to figure out a way to get the right information to the right people to close these gaps. And there's a lot of change makers out there at every level. And we just have to figure out what gaps are there and close these gaps, whether that's technologically, social behaviorally. And we just need to fill in those gaps. And I think solutions are out there. I don't think we need to create something new. Yep.
Can you dive a bit deeper into any kind of solutions, perhaps your own?
Yeah, so our platform Homegrown, so what we do is we essentially find out spaces within cities that are completely underutilized. This could be your backyard, your rooftop, a balcony, an abandoned parking lot, and then turn these sites into potential food production places. And it will take into account your local climatic conditions, your local food and vegetables, pollution, etc., and show you what these spaces can hold and what potential it holds. And if you're a policymaker, it can be something that you can legislate and make them mandatory. If you're a civil society organization, you can make it into areas where communities can come together and create community gardens more often. Or if you're just an individual and if you have a balcony and if you always wanted to know what grows in my balcony, this tool is great for you to actually explore that and actually not just know the information, but to see how many kilos of tomato can I grow if I start growing in March. So yeah, that's what happens. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for that. Now on to the fun question. It's 2070.
Okay.
What does the world look like to you?
Hopefully a peaceful, a just, and a future that we are all here working towards.
We're back, besties. Very interesting what Vishnu told us. He has a super interesting project that you should check out. And actually, he is the winner of the Pitch Perfect competition of yesterday, today,
Who knows at
the
this
day
point?
after. Yeah, but well, he was the winner. You should check it out.
But Arianna, what other features did we explore yesterday?
We explored the future of land. And this was a very interesting also conversation that we had with our CB friend Shaun. So, what do you think is the future of land?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things about the future of land is tying it into all of the other Rio conventions, and something that we've been trying to do is to show how important land is as that foundational base for life.
And can you tell us a little bit about your project? Why Future of Land?
Of course. So we worked with the UNFCCC and G20 Global Land Initiative to put together Imagine Land 2040, the first AI film for the UN. And what we want to do is really showcase land as this providing source, and also show how land can be used as a tool to further kind of technological reach, and see AI as this powerful tool, but also acknowledge how AI is using land and also how land can be shown better through AI.
Wow. And can you tell us a little bit about the movie? What would our audience expect to see?
Yeah, so Imagine Land is the perspective of a 12-year-old girl as she's imagining this like burnt forest, and she's thinking about, what would this forest look like if it was green and lush and restored again? And it goes into her imagination, and she travels to these different countries. She goes to Brazil and Senegal and China, kind of comparing and contrasting the experiences of herself and then her colleagues or her friends, let's say, in these other countries. And our kind of scope was to imagine what, a young person who really wants to change the world looks at, and then like bring them back to 2040, to her older self, at a COP or at a UN conference where, we have accomplished those goals of restoration.
Oh, that's beautiful. So on that note, the final question will be imagine it's 2070. So you say 40, but I say 70. So what is the future you see?
Yeah, I think primarily, especially in talking to a lot of the children that we interviewed in preparation for the film, a lot of the things that they want are the things that we want. Happy families, good careers, and a planet that they can truly live on without having to worry about what's the next day going to look like or what's the next 10 years going to look like. So.
We're back, besties. It was very nice to talk to Shaun. He came here, was with us throughout the day, not only being part of several discussions, but he also presented one of the movies for the movie night that we have. And his movie was about the future of land. It's Future of Land 2030, or 2040, actually. So very, very interesting, an AI movie generated that he did together with G20 Land Initiative. So if you haven't watched it, I think it's in YouTube, so check it out. But then...
So, we've imagined futures, we've played with them, but to change futures, we surely need some skills to be able to do this, right?
And we have a very interesting CV friend, Julia, who talked about the future skills, the skills that we need to have a more sustainable future. So Julia, what are the skills and capacities that will be needed in the future?
Important question. Yeah, I think to push forward the ecological and sustainable transformation we all want for our world, for the forests and for the nature, the future skills are technical skills, new technical skills, but also transversal skills, and soft skills and digital skills become more and more important. But yes, technical skills are also still very important. So when we talk about the ecological and sustainable economic transition, for example, we need to prepare more workforce for the energy sector, renewable energy sector, and also energy efficiency, because energy is so important for the decarbonization of industries and economies. So this is something many countries are facing and are investing in developing, investing more in future workers for this sector, but also agriculture as a very important sector having strong effects on climate and construction are also very important, that we look into the new skills and more circular knowledge, and in agriculture that we introduce more knowledge and skills about sustainable methodologies, also considering original people, indigenous people, because they have these knowledges about how to save the forests, how to keep nature healthy and our planet healthy.
Okay, thank you. One more fun question now for you to think. If you would think of the future in 2070 in one word or two words, what comes to your mind?
To my mind, it comes that we need to have artificial intelligence in our hands. We have to use it for our purpose, for the human purpose, and for the planet purpose. I think this is a really, really big challenge that we use it in an ethical and in a good way, what is already influencing our realities, our day-to-day work and also private life. So I think also looking to labor markets and workers' realities, this will be a big challenge.
And we're back, besties. So, wow, future skills, the skills that we need. And it's actually very interesting that it's related to everything that we have been talking about. Energy transition, means of implementation, everything that we need, the future skills that we need are related to everything that you have discovered with us the last days.
But now thinking about the futures, and I'm a very anxious person, generates a lot of distress, climate anxiety, the uncertainty. It's like, how can I deal with that? So we actually spoke with our CB friend, Xiaomang, to tell us more about this climate anxiety, because this is real and how we can cope with it. Let's hear from her. So Xiaomang, thinking about the futures obviously generates a lot of distress and climate anxiety. So how would you advise for someone to cope with this climate distress and anxiety, and how can they navigate that?
I think anxiety comes from a place that we want to have certainty, right? I think it's a human nature to strive for certainty, safety, but actually uncertainty has a great beauty in it, because uncertain means the future is not fixed yet. That's where agencies lie. If everything has already been fixed, we know exactly what will happen, then we would lose our agency. But only when we have agency, we can take actions. I think by thinking about that and using the tools futures literacy could provide us to anticipate futures and to imagine different futures, we can actually manage anxieties much better.
Thank you so much for that. And given that today we've been imagining futures, I want to ask you to look into 2070. What does the world in 2070 look like for you?
Being an optimist, I would say in 2070 we would not have COP anymore. We talked about this morning a little bit. People would said we would have a big celebration. I think we would come together every year and celebrate life.
And we're back, besties. Very interesting. Xiaomang actually is my CB boss. So, well, it was also very interesting to hear from her about futures literacy. Futures literacy is that type of skill that we need to not only understand the future that we want, to create the future that we want. And it's not future, it's futures, because there are many futures.
Exactly. And co-creation is something that we talk about because we are all part of building the future that we want. But also what I really like about futures literacy is that it really changes distress and uncertainty into opportunity.
And it's getting a little bit also out of the box, because here at like the UN negotiations and here at COP, sometimes we are very into the processes that we already know, that are functional, but have they been successful? Not 100%. So to have a better future, a more sustainable future, we need to imagine different ways to get there.
Exactly, and something that Xiaomang mentioned as well is that we don't necessarily have to come up with new ways of doing things, but we have to change our old habits, those that are keeping us stuck into a present that we don't necessarily want to be in.
Very interesting futures day for us, but then how do you think the future will be, like in 2070?
Because you know what, that's a good one. 2070, I'll be in my 70s, and I just hope, more broadly, I hope we're all kinder to the earth and ultimately kinder to one another. Because if we care about the earth, that means that we care for each other. And I think we're still missing a lot of empathy, compassion in the climate movement, and something that I also agree with Xiaomang in terms of the future of the COPs. I do see the COPs still happening, but I hope they become more of a space to celebrate collaboration and bringing people together and co-creating the thriving and hopeful futures.
Totally agree. I think we are connected on that. I wish for a 2070 to be just different from what we have now, but hopeful. So, well, I think that's it for us.
On that hopeful note, we'll see you on our next and last episode for now.
We'll be back.
This is just season 1. This is just season 1.
Well, besties. Bye.
See you in the next one.